What's up YouTube, this is Demkeys back again with another Unity tutorial, and today I'm going to teach you how to use Unity's Mecanim system to run animations and transition between them. Now, what is Mecanim? Mecanim is a powerful animation system created by Unity. It has many useful tools to help you manage your animations, and you can do things like I don't know, have smooth transitions between them, run multiple animations at the same time, and many more things. There are many more things that you can do using Mecanim. It is a very useful tool. For the purpose of this tutorial, we are going to create an FPS character and add idle, walk and run animations to it. This is going to be a very basic tutorial. If you don't know how to use the Mecanim system, this tutorial will help you get started. This example will help you to understand the uses of the Mecanim system. Not all the uses, but at least some of them. Like I said, it's a basic tutorial. It's meant for beginners. If you have never used Mecanim before, then this will help you. Okay, let's get started. What we have here is a small sort of level, just a plane and a bunch of cubes and a bunch of lights and our player. Our player is just a capsule with a camera attached to it. Oh, and I also have two animations over here. I am not going to show you how to make these animations because this video is not about making animations, it's about using animations with Mecanim. So yeah. Okay, first we need to create an Animator Controller. We'll call this anything, it's fine, FPS Controller. Okay, what is an Animator Controller? Sorry about that. Okay, the Animator Controller is the main component by which animation behavior is added to an object. Basically, we will be adding these two animations into this Animator Controller, and then through the Animator window, okay, when you click this FPS controller and you open your Animator window, you'll see your FPS controller open over here. So you can drag any number of animations that you want. I don't know what the limit is, but yeah, you can drag more than a few, and you can put them into this Animator controller. Alright, sorry, I got lost for a second. Yeah, okay, so now that we have dragged both the animations into our Animator controller, we will assign this Animator controller to our main camera. To do that, first you have to add an Animator component to the camera, and then you'll see a parameter saying named controller. You have to drag the FPS controller into it, and so now any of the animations that are being played or that are being run from this Animator controller will affect our main camera. I'll show you how to do that. Just a minute. Okay, so Mecanim lets you create parameters. Using these parameters, you can add conditions for transitions between animations. You can then later access those parameters and change their values through script, which will make the transition happen because you're using those parameters as well, you're using the parameters for conditions. I'm not sure how to put that sentence, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so we have our idle animation over here and walking animation. You can name them whatever you want. By the way, these are called states. Each of these is a state within the Animator controller. Each animation that you put will be considered a state. Alright, since this is set as our default animation, you can see that it's default because it's orange in color. Let's see if this is actually working. We are going to run the game and see what happens. As you can see, the animation is being run. Let me drag this window somewhere else. Here. Yeah. You can see the animation is running. It's looping continuously. You can also see the camera moving. I'm in the scene view right now. Okay, so this is our idle animation. This ran at the start because we set this as our default animation. Well, I didn't actually set it. It's just the first animation that I dragged in, and so that's the one that got set as default. You can set any animation as default, like for example this one. But it's going to look kind of silly because this is a walking animation. Anyways, see what happens. He's actually walking but not moving anywhere. Okay, now we are going to create our parameter. Before that, let me set this to default. Okay, you have four types of parameters: float, int, bool, and trigger. We are going to use bool. Let's call this should walk. You can name it whatever you want. Just remember to use the right name because you'll be accessing it through script, so the name matters. If you miss a single alphabet, you might get an error, or I guess the animation just won't run. The transition won't happen. Anyways, so to make a transition from one state to another, you right click on one animation, click make transition, and go to the next animation that you want to transition to, and just left click on it. So you can see this arrow is pointing towards our walk animation. This means the transition is happening from idle to walk. We can also make a transition from walk to idle. Why would you want to transition from walk to idle? For example, you press the W key and your character starts walking, so you'll transition from idle to walk. Now once you release the W key, your character is going to stop walking, so you don't want the walk animation to be playing at that time, and you don't want no animation playing either. Well, if you want no animation at all, then that's fine, but if you have been playing, if you do have an idle animation, then you would want to go back to that. So in that case, you make a you make a transition from walk to idle. Alright, now here we are going to set the conditions for our well, in this case it's one condition, but yeah, we are going to set the condition for the transition. Before that, let me tell you about solo and mute. Just a minute. Alright, so in complex state machines, it is useful to preview the operation of some parts of the machine separately. For this, you can use the mute or solo functionality. Muting means a transition will be disabled, and solo transitions are enabled with respect to other transitions originating from the same state. You can set up mute and solo states from either from the transition inspector or the state inspector, where you'll have an overview of all the transitions from that state. So now that you get what solo and mute are, let's move on to the conditions. So we want our walk animation to play only when should walk is equal to true. See, because it's a boolean, that's why it will only have two values, true or false. However, if we set it to integer, then we'll have other conditions and stuff. I'll show you that for run, just as an example. For now, let's pay attention to walk. Okay, so we have set the condition for this transition. Now let's set the condition for transitioning from walk animation to idle. That will be if should walk is false. Okay, so I think we are done with this for now. Now we'll click on our player, the player, not the camera, and we'll add a new script. Call it anything you want. Okay, the first thing we are going to create is our float variable. Call it X force, and let's create a Z force as well. I don't know if we'll be using it or not. Alright, the next variable is going to be an animator. This will be used to help us to access our Animator Controller. What we are going to do is, just a minute, there. Okay, so you can't actually drag and drop your Animator Controller into this. So what you do is you click on this circle dot over here, and then you select which object you want that contains that animator. Now our main camera already has an animator component attached to it, and so we can just double click the main camera and the script will automatically access that component. Okay, next, what next? Yeah, we are going to write some if conditions to get our key states, I guess you can say, just to find out whether the key is being pressed or not. First, input.getKey, not get key down, because we want it to continuously check whether the key is being pressed or not. Keycode.w. First, the transition. So anim is our animator, our animator variable. Variable, is that the right word? Anyways, you get my point. Anim.set bool, because if you remember, our should walk parameter is a boolean. Now this takes two parameters. It's got an override as well, but we'll use this first one. No, we'll use the second one. We enter the name of the parameter, then comma, and what value we want to set. And of course we want our player to move forward, so transform.translate. Okay, we can do the same thing for S. So input.getKey, S. Okay, in case you're wondering why I have used else if and not put this in a separate if statement. It's because we want the game to check either W or S. We don't want it to check both at the same time. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but if you put two separate if statements, you could have unexpected results. That may not happen in this case. It may happen. I think it has happened with me in the past, so I prefer to do it this way. Okay, in this case also you would do the same thing, but the Z value would be minus. Oh, also, this is for when we start walking. Once the key is up, that is when we release the key, then we want the animation to stop playing. And so according to our transitions condition, according to our transitions condition, if should walk is equal to false, the transition will happen from walk to idle. So anim.setBool should walk false. In this case I don't think else if is required. I could have just copied that previous statement. Anyways, okay, so now let's test and see if our animation is working or not. Before that, let me set Z force to 0.3. I think 0.3 is less. Let's keep 0.8. No, 0.8 is for running. Also, I'm going to go back to our animator and change the speed of our walk animation. I'm going to set it to 2. So it's basically going to fast forward the animation. Okay, let's see how it looks. Alright, so I'm currently not pressing any keys, so our idle animation is playing. Now I'm going to press W. You can see the animation is also playing on our camera. The camera is moving in that way, and you can also see in the animator the animation is being played. The same thing is for S. So now we know that our transition was successful and the conditions are being met, and we are actually able to change the parameters value through script. Next, let's add a running animation. For this, I'm just going to copy the walk animation and increase its speed, and of course I'll rename the animation to run. We'll increase the speed to, let's say, 5, and okay, let's make a transition from walk to run, and from run back to walk, and also from idle to run, and from run back to idle. I am not entirely sure if we are going to be using idle directly to run. I think we will. Okay, so as I told you before, sorry about that, as I told you before, we will use int for our next parameter. I can use bool as well, but just to show you how int works, I'm going to use int. Alright, so we want the transition to happen from walk to run. I've currently clicked on the transition going from walk to run, and I'm going to first of all select should run. Now we need to have two conditions in this case because this is going from walk to run. In that case, if we don't disable walk, you could have some weird results because it's expecting walk to be played and it's expecting run also to be played. So first of all, you want should run to be equal to, or you have a couple of other options as well. We are going to use equals. So we want should run to be equal to 1, and then we add one more condition, and here we'll select should walk should be equals to false. Next, yeah, next would be this. This is our transition from run back to walk. So in this case, run would be equal to 0 and should walk would be equal to true. Now I think I should set these transitions as well because there are conditions over here, and if I don't set anything over here, then it's going to start playing on its own. Okay, we want this to happen when should run is equal to 1, and we want this to happen when should run is equal to 0. Alright, now we will go back to our script and add some more if statements. Okay, what do we need here? If input dot get key code left shift, because we are talking about running over here, and input dot get key code dot w. So this is going to check if the left shift button and the left shift key and the W key both are being pressed or not. If we want it to be an OR condition, then we can add this, but that would be OR, and we don't want OR. We want to make sure that both the keys are being pressed at the same time. Only then our player should run. Okay, so anim.setBool should walk would be false because we want the well, that is one of the conditions. Next, anim.setInteger. Here should run, and we put the int value. We set the int value 1. Oh, sorry. Transform.translate. Also, we want to change our z-force value to, what is it set to currently? 0.4. Okay, let's make it 0.8. No, 0.08. And we create the same if statement, but of course else if. We are creating this for s, and in this case it's going to be minus. We also need to check if the left shift key has been released or not. So for that we can create an if statement, and if the left shift key has been released, then we will set sorry, I was just sorry about that. Sorry, I was just thinking about the transitions and got a little confused. Okay, uh, anim.set integer should run would be 0, and so our run animation is not going to execute. There is a line that I'm missing somewhere over here, because that makes if you don't add that line, it makes the system a little buggy. Like, well, let's see if the bug shows up over here or not. Okay, I think we are good to go. Oh yes, I'm missing one line over here. Once the shift key is released, we don't want the player to move at a running speed. We want the player to move at a walking speed. So we take the speed back to 0.04 f. Now we save the script and let's test out the game. Okay, this is sorry, this is idle, this is walking. I think I said I think I said running too fast. Yes, I have set it too fast. You cannot, I don't know if you're able to notice the difference or not, so I'm going to change its speed to 0.06. Well, typically I don't think you would see an animation of the player running backwards. I'm not sure, but yeah, in this case you can see it. It's just an example. As you can see, the transition is taking place. I have my finger on both the left shift key and either W or S. If it's W, then the player moves forward, and if it's S, the player moves backwards. And once I release the left shift key and I keep my finger on W, our player is back to walking. And also you can see his speed has been changed. Okay. I guess this is it. Am I forgetting something? No, I think I'm done. Okay, so I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'm going to add 2 links to 2 of my other videos, so if you would like, you can check them out, and I'll see you guys next time.